Sales-wise and merchandise, the quality of the writing is something to behold. Aside from key moments in Seven Sirens such as Roddy Tops and maybe the Half Genies depending on preference, the overall writing is a bit lackluster at best. The tone is one thing, but much of the storyline has yet to really progress since Pirate's Curse. Not that it has to rely on Pirate's Curse obviously, but at least build up something to it where it can expand to other entries. There's potential for newcomers, but the subsequent use of fanservice is not only an issue, but it's an ongoing one. I've already touched on the details early on, what should be considered as a tone and ideas that might be better suited for the series. Aside from the fans, which in no doubt will largely consist of adult virgin men, but you're keen to the brony community, among many other examples. The target audience Hello everyone, Obscure Titan here with a new video. This will cover something similar you may be familiar with if you've been following me since 2020. But for those of you who are new, here's a quick rundown on my Shantae lore video. It consists of me commenting on the use of fan service, as in women in revealing outfits, story direction, and even the tone. But before I get started, I need to leave a short response to the comment I made regarding to the fandom itself. Aside from the fans, which in no doubt will largely consist of adult virgin men, but you're keen to the brony community, among many other examples. Yeah, that was a bad comment. Look, I realize now that not all of the fandom is like this. There are a good amount of fans who are well-mannered and even have families. Are there degenerates in the Shantae fandom? Of course. But is it all of it? Absolutely not. And for that, I am sorry for the comment. Regardless if it was a joke or not, it would be best if it was left out entirely. Anyways, onto the video itself. Originally, I was going to debunk my own points on the video itself, but it would be more difficult to get down. Instead, I'm making an entirely new script from scratch with just 2 topics. The last one will have a greater emphasis in terms of story, so things like with visuals or even the fan base won't have much to cover here. The former will have some emphasis, but nothing major to make a deal out of. Let's get started. The character designs can come off as a bit revealing, but not Kill la Kill level of revealing. I previously stated that the designs can help drive the story along, and in some areas it can. Shantae and about half of the genie-adjacent characters facilitate that well enough. Sky's original design felt more like it's right at home in regards to color, as well as the skirt being a good touch to it. I wasn't particularly a fan of her Pirate's Curse design. The lower half of Sky just didn't resonate with me the way that it did for many fans, and I just thought the skirt was a better fit. I do think Risky could have gotten a more robust design as a pirate. Perhaps a coat or some kind of outlandish gear that would come off as regal as well as being a terrorist wrecking the 7 seas. Slightly off topic, but in terms of gameplay, I wouldn't really do much to change it. It's perfectly fine. You might say that the difficulty curve could be adjusted a bit more, but considering that Pirate's Curse, 7 Sirens, and even Risky Revolution are pretty spot on, it's pretty good. In terms of story, it gets complicated. I've gotten into great detail over Sky, and you should check out the video in question. To sum it up, Sky has potential to being a well-developed character with flaws that encourage her to grow. In my take of the character, I explored the possibility of what Sky's path to becoming a better friend of Shantae than what she already started out in the GBC game, and to an extent, Risky Revolution. On a side note, I did notice some traits that would be a thing in Pirate's Curse and onwards, but considering these were done sparingly, this is a good way for Sky's development in the earlier Shantae canon to flourish. But if my interpretation serves, the post-Pirate's Curse saga should be able to progress her character with all this in mind. The majority of the roster though is fine, but if I need to address the worst antagonist in the series, it's Holly. This character, I don't remember what her purpose was. Well, actually, her point was to make everybody's memories vanish, forgetting who Shantae is entirely. And after defeating Wilbur, Holly just vanishes. She never returned, she never made any hints on returning for revenge, nothing. Shantae 6, or 7, would follow the events of 7 Sirens with a scrapbook Harmony offered the main character to hold on to. To make a really loose premise of what this could be, Shantae receives dreams about her missing genie mother. This revolves around a dark force that would threaten the livelihood of genies in Sequin Town, worse than Risky Boots. I was considering Pirate Master to return as the villain for Shantae 7, but if having new villains was to be a must-have achievement these days, then we could say that a Dark Shogun type of villain would suffice. This Shogun entity is accidentally resurrected by Risky Boots who wanted to steal his armor, but that would reignite his dark essence. He strives to consume genie magic for immortality, and will stop at nothing for it. This sends a warning to Shantae and gang over the news. The story can go in many directions depending on how it could go. Remember when I brought up Holly earlier? Well, you didn't need to if I hadn't brought it up. But this could be a potentially good way to have Holly come back as a sidekick to the Shogun. She would receive a new attire more suited for combat and has a higher magic prowess to keep herself from fading. It's later found out in this loose story that Holly lost her status as half-genie and cursed into a memory dependent on people's capability of remembering. Under the Shogun's rule, he has Risky Boots in prison and Shantae has to stop the Dark Master. But doing so isn't going to be easy since full genies have a higher capacity to fight him, and he is capable of destroying them by devouring them at close range. Shantae would need to find one half-genie to guide her in the quest while still deciphering the book. We don't need all of the 7 Sirens roster to return for this storyline, but if there's one half-genie that deserves a comeback, it's Harmony. Harmony is the most important half-genie in 7 Sirens, and I did a video on her some time ago as a short essay. She is the wisest of the half-genies, as well as the oldest. Her involvement in the story could elevate Shantae's motivation, but only a small fragment of it. More so would have to explore Shantae's self-esteem and how it grew over the years. If you date back to the GBC game, Shantae was not so keen to take on the responsibility as a full genie. Well, we now have a new storyline, and look at how Shantae has grown. As the story progresses, Shantae receives more visions of her mother, and it's only getting stronger. The character in question doesn't need to be Kuoka since it's a fan-made OC, which is mine, but I'm still going to be showing it for the sake of artist interpretation. The point is that Shantae's mother may be the greatest key for the half-genie hero to solve. But as Shantae confronts the Shogun, Shantae's mother calls to her. There's a lamp next to the tyrant and is pondering the mystery to it. It turns out the dead Shogun figured out a way to locate the lamp after his resurrection. Shantae and Harmony now need to defeat the beast. But through careful planning and teamwork, they overcame the monster. Shantae takes a chance of retrieving the lamp and unleashes her mother. But knowing how dangerous the Shogun is, she wishes for him to reverse his growing hunger of power. Holly runs away as the Shogun's power is reversing her ability to stay unforgotten. After all the chaos is undone, the genies offer Shantae the choice to join the genie realm or remain in Sequin Town, similar to the likes of the GBC game. This can offer a bittersweet end on both ends for different reasons. Ending 1 has Shantae become one with the full genies. This means she can see her mother again and potentially become a pure genie, being subservient to the genie realm and not even questioning its authority. This is the downside of joining them, as her free will is practically non-existent or even limited, as she must bow to the higher powers as a full genie. Ending 2, however, has her respectfully refusing the deal as it would strip her of her free will. She does have her last goodbye to her mother and make their ways. The upside is that she still gets to have her friends to cherish for years to come, including Skya herself. The reboot, though, is more straightforward than my 7th Shantae storyline. It begins with a celestial war of light and dark genies. The light ones resemble order and compassion, populated by the Jinn, while the dark ones are led by the Ifrit, full of deception and hatred. Their war lasted for years, but would eventually have one powerful enough to end it. One who is said to be the great-grandmother of Shantae's mother, who is the only one known to have the power to make the fight stop. After the Celestial War, the genies see the humans on Earth and make love to them to celebrate their success. But little do they realize that their meddling with humans could spell a catastrophe, similar to the likes of the story of the Watchers in the Bible. They would breed half-genies, some who can only carry half of their powers and are much limited on their capabilities. This actually would result in the Jinn being shackled to their lamps and bottles as punishment. The half-genies would remain free, but memories are wiped from who their mothers are, and some can be cursed to not know unless if they are dared to suffer the same fate as their mothers did. Much of the setting can remain the same, though I'd like to utilize some of the cultural aspects of the series. Much of it could consist of Turkish elements, hence the belly dancers and sultans. In some instances, we can see other Asian and African cultures such as Risky being a disgraced Ronin who controls her own crew and ship, the Barons being a team of misfit treasure hunters who come from different origins, an undead wizard, a cyclops, and a mutant squid, but all have the same goal, stealing forbidden artifacts. Shantae grows up with an adoptive father who works on mechanics for his fellow treasure hunters not adjacent to the Barons, and spends time with Skye and Bolo, who are her childhood friends. But along the way, she would befriend new ones, such as Tops. There could be a unique zombie civilization where they've grown more intellectually enlightened, and sought after alternatives that would safeguard living beings as opposed to consuming them. We could even explore the trauma that Raditubs has gone through in her death. As the reboot continues, Shantae discovers her old heritage, receives glimpses of the genie lineage, and wonders if she ever had parents, one of which being a genie. But she was warned that she could suffer a celestial servitude in exchange for phenomenal cosmic powers. You see where the pun lands on. From there, this reboot could either have retellings of WayForward's past stories, or perhaps some new ones to explore the concepts of the genies. It's been something I thought about doing since I looked back at my first Shantae lore improvement video. That had less to do about story improvement and more about just taking shots at fan service. And much of that didn't age very well. This one should be more focused on exploring different ways of improving the storyline. Then again, this is all fan interpretation. I'll say it's been a fun exercise of a project, as this can also prompt fans to collaborate and explore concepts that Eric Bozon and his wife tried out many years ago, and even still to this day. What I will say for WayForward is that they're very passionate about what they do and they want the best for their fans who enjoy them. So that's pretty much it for today's essay. I may come back to these essays in the future if that's something that y'all like to see, and I probably might even do some as well. Catch y'all next time!